Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. Okay, so I'm going to start by saying thank you, as usual. Just thank you. Gosh, today, it makes me laugh when I get a notification that I'm live. I know I'm live. Today I've had a lot of emails with about various things. So I want to say thank you for that. I'm ploughing my way through them and I'm trying to reply to all of them. But most of all, I want you to thank you for being here with me tonight, for liking my videos, for watching my videos, for sharing my videos, participating in the chat, just sending me nice comments, nice messages, nice emails, etc. I want to thank you for all your support, because this week's been really strange, just anyway, I'm still here, and I'm still doing videos up to now. This week feels like it's been like a year. But yeah, because of you, that's why I keep on doing it. So I hope you're enjoying it. That's the main thing. I want to thank you for everyone who's become a member, everyone who has sent me a super or a PayPal or bought me a Ko-fi, because all those things as well just help, not only in a financial way, but just make me realize that people do appreciate my content. That's the most important thing, because this is not like my job in the sense, I have my job as a Spanish teacher, but sometimes I love doing this, really, and then other times I do sometimes get a little bit, well, it's sad, isn't it, when you're like looking at true crime cases. I've spent today looking at all the details about the Charlene Downes case, because obviously that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. And, it's quite heavy going sometimes. So sometimes I think, oh, my goodness, why am I doing this? And then I think, no, because these things are important. And it's when you support me, then it makes me feel better about it. Okay, so let's go. I just want to say hello to everybody now that I've gone through the thank yous. Chumba was here earlier and she's back here now. Hi, Janet. So you didn't know anything about this case? Yeah, it's quite a famous case in the north, of course, but I think it's famous certainly all over Britain. Hi, David. Hi, Desi. Oh, David's already liked. Thank you. Gosh, you've all been chatting, ploughing through the chat here. Hi, Shelley. You may not have heard of this case, of course, over in Canada, but maybe you have. I don't know. Hi, Renee. I don't know if it's Renee or Renee, but anyway, hi anyway. I hope I don't miss anybody. Gosh, there's quite a lot of chat here. Hi, Jojo. Hi, Princess. Oh, thank you. Princess always gives me a compliment. Thank you for that. Hi, Ruth. Gosh, yeah, there's a lot of you. A lot of chatting going on. Good. Hi, Carla. Thank you for pressing the like. Hi, Wendy. Thank you for saying that. A lot, lovely. Thank you so much. Good, and thank you. Being appreciated is good. Hi, Jackie. Okay, I think I've said hello to everyone who's participating in the chat anyway. So yeah, as I say, so I've spent all day today, all afternoon. I had classes in the morning. I've spent most of the afternoon, looking at all different videos about this case. I mean, I'd heard about this case, but I found out a lot that I didn't know tonight. It's very sad, because this poor girl, Charlene, who was 14 years old, she literally didn't stand a chance. She had a sad life. a short life and a very sad one. And not only because of what happened to her in the end, but I think, you know, there's so much more to this story than I had realised. Now, there's some positivity because this case, you know, precipitated an inquiry into paedophile rings, grooming of young people in the Blackpool area. You know, it precipitated a lot of inquiries and led to a lot of people, even though nobody's actually been held accountable for Charlene's murder. And in fact, her body's never been found, but the police think she was murdered. And no one's been brought to account for her murder. But a lot of people, as a consequence of the investigations into Charlene's disappearance, a lot of people were held accountable for sexual exploitation of minors, etc. Hi, Rio. Anyway, obviously, I'm going to go through all the details. I hope I haven't missed anybody coming in and not said hello to them, I don't think. Yes, no bitchiness or backbiting on my channel, or well, hopefully, you know, you always get some people here and there, but we soon get rid of them, don't we? And you know, the other thing about my channel, I don't know if you've noticed, this is not the biggest channel on the internet, but I have an awful lot of interaction, which is good. You know, so lots of interaction for not, I haven't got, you know, like millions of subscribers, but some channels have got a lot more subscribers, but they don't get the same interaction. So that's the difference. Anyway, so see, and then I'm interacting and I'm getting sidetracked, as I always do, because, hi Cheryl, I start to read the comments and I'm supposed to be telling you about this case. So I want to start off because there'll be some of you from other countries, or even if you're from the south of England, you might not know much about this case. And this case is also relevant because it's our old friends, the Lancashire police. Mr. Snowman has got a lot to do with this case now. You know, he's in charge of the Lancashire police now. And I'll tell you what, one thing, if he managed during his tenure as the Crime and Police Commissioner to actually find out and manage to get somebody prosecuted for this murder of this young girl, that would go a long way in redeeming him, you know, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, oh yeah, it's Lancashire Police, it's Blackpool. So let's just have a look at Blackpool first of all. First thing we're going to do is look at where this case takes place, which is in Blackpool, or took place. Now, a lot of you, if you come from the north of the UK, you'll know Blackpool. We've got the iconic tower, which is of course like our version of the Eiffel Tower. Blackpool is a seaside town in the north, not far from, of course, about an hour away from where the Nicola Bulley incident or case took place. Oh, look, there's the donkeys on the beach. You know, I'm from Manchester. That's what I remember when I was a kid. If we went anywhere, like for the day, it would be either Blackpool or Southport. They were the two places we would go to. We've got a beach here in Blackpool. I mean, obviously it's raining most of the time, but occasionally it's sunny. And then once a year, they have the Blackpool Lights, which you can see here. There's a place in Blackpool called the Golden Mile, which is like a mini and a very mini sort of Las Vegas strip, you know, where you've got loads of shops and arcades, etc. And then once a year, I think it's in October, somebody who's on here might know better who lives, because I don't remember. I think it's October, is it? When are the Blackpool Lights? But they have the lights and they light up the illuminations, as you can see there. And I've been many times, both as a child and when I was a teenager. You know, this is a place we would go to for the weekend. There's bed and breakfast. And then I had a friend who was at Polytechnic in Blackpool, and I went and stayed with her. So I've been to Blackpool many, many times. There's a big pleasure beach there, big fair. You know, it's a really popular place. So, you know, that is Blackpool. That's where this takes place, where this case, if you like, and where Charlene Downes unfortunately went missing. Right, okay, so I've got loads of things I want to show you. It's just wondering about the order that I'm going to deal with it. Let's just say when it happened, what happened. Oh, let's have a picture of Charlene. Yeah. So, right, I'm going to put you some photos of Charlene up now. I say 14-year-old girl. Let me find. What was that? Yeah. So here's some photos of Charlene. Bless her. Just a child, 14-year-old child at the end of the day. She was quite a grown-up girl in the end when she went missing, you know, for her age, but she still was 14 years old. She was a child. Bless her. This is her mother. We've got to talk about the family. Because when I very first heard about this case, my heart just broke for Charlene's family. So I was thinking, God, how awful to not know what had happened to your daughter. But there is a little bit more to it than that. And I'm not casting aspersions on Charlene's family. I don't know what happened to Charlene. I don't know what the truth is. Nobody knows what the truth is. But it's not as simple as it first seemed in the first instances. There's a lot more to it. And it's it's a very complicated case for the police to solve, and that's why I'm saying if they do manage to solve it, it'll go a long way in saving Snowman's reputation. But unfortunately, they did cock up the investigation from the beginning. The Lancashire police, they've actually acknowledged it now and made a total cock up of everything right from the beginning. And unfortunately, that has meant that nobody has been held accountable. Now, it's just recently been reopened. Literally, I think in July or even as late as a couple of weeks ago, because I did do a short video on it. The police have reopened the case. So let me tell you when it happened. That might help, isn't it? If I tell you when it happened. So Charlene was 14 and she disappeared from Blackpool on the 1st of November in 2003. So it's 20 years ago when this case happened. 2003. And she disappeared from her hometown of Blackpool, which is a seaside town, obviously, as I was saying, in northwest England. The Lancashire police believe that she was murdered within hours of her last sighting. Now, that's what I'm going to look at next. We're going to look at the CCTV. I know you can't believe it's 20 years ago, can you? Hi, Jennifer. I'm just having a little look if I've missed anyone. Yeah. Hi, Maltese. Yeah, 20 years ago. Somebody said to me when, did somebody tell me when the lights, did David say the lights go on next time? Oh, is Saskia here? Hi, Saskia. Hope it all went okay today. I was hoping you'd be here tonight. Anyway, I hope it all went okay today. That's one more down, isn't it? One more crossed off. One more, you're one chemo closer to getting to the end of it. Okay, so what was I going to show you now? See, I get sidetracked, sorry, but I had to say hello to Saskia. what? Oh yeah, the last CCTV. Yeah, this is the last time that Charlene was caught on CCTV. Now, funny enough, the police did not show this CCTV right when she first went missing. They did not release this CCTV till 13 years after she disappeared. So, you know, and people were sort of a bit wondering about that. But anyway, we don't know why, but that they didn't. And you can see in this CCTV, she's with someone. Let's watch it again. Yeah, so you can see that even though she's only 14, she does look like she's quite tall, isn't she? Now this, I think this woman, I believe it's a woman that's with her, I don't think they've ever come forward and been identified. So who is it? That's quite strange in itself. And I think that explains maybe why the police hadn't released it for so long. This person is a person of interest in one way or another. You know, who is it? And why have they not identified themselves? That's the last time she was seen. Right, now, where do we start? Where do we start with the story of Charlene? Because first of all, when Charlene went missing, it launched this investigation into sort of all the, because in Blackpool there's a lot of takeaways along that strip, etc. Lots of takeaways, all sorts of every different, you know, what it's like in Britain just generally. You can get, you know, there's all different types of food. There'll be Chinese takeaways, Indian takeaways, kebab shops, you name it, it'll be there along that road. And the investigation into Charlene's disappearance uncovered, like, that they were paedophile rings. I'm not probably supposed to say that word. P rings operating, and you know, these people were young girls were getting sort of offered. I mean, it's unbelievable, really, that a young girl would feel that she would accept a kebab in return for some sort of sexual favour. But anyway, this is what was going on. And so many people, many gangs were arrested, mainly Muslims. So, you know, it caused this sort of racist, you know, I'm so reluctant about this because I know that these particular gangs, they were Muslims. But there's lots of paedophile gangs, unfortunately, and they're not all Muslims. So, you know, you can't say, oh, it's like some sort of Muslim predilection or whatever. It's not. It's just, you know, unfortunately, these sort of people, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter about their religion or their race or whatever. These are the sort of people that, you know, they're in every community, every race, etc. Sorry, I'm looking at the thing. I've got to stop doing that. Anyway, to cut a very long story short, now I'm going to show you now what the Lancashire police were showing on their website. Let's have a look. About the Charlene Downes investigation. Okay, so Charlene Downes. The investigation into Charlene Downes' disappearance and death. Now notice how they're saying that, disappearance and death. They were convinced very early on that she was dead. And they haven't really said why. You know, what evidence do they have? They must have some evidence. I mean, I'm hoping as well that now they've reopened it, obviously DNA has advanced so much, so they might be able to find some of Charlene's DNA in places that they couldn't find it before. Anyway, Charlene was 14 years old when she was reported missing from her home in Blackpool on the 3rd of November 2003. On the 1st of November, the day she was last seen, Charlene had spent some time with her sister. They had been to the promenade and had played on the fruit machines at Coral Island Amusement Arcade before heading to a McDonald's restaurant. Now, something I just want to say here, which really struck me, this girl, she went out with her sister at lunchtime. They spent time at the amusement arcade. They went to McDonald's. And then the sister went home. This girl did not want to go home. That's something that immediately struck me. It was freezing cold. It was November. She's a 14-year-old girl. Now, I don't know what day I think it was a Saturday. But she's a 14-year-old girl. And she then went off, like her sister went home. And her sister feels all this guilt that she didn't make Charlene go with her. You know how everybody always feels guilty in these cases, except the perpetrator. Her sister feels guilty that she didn't make her go home with her. But Charlene stayed out. The last time that she's known to, that somebody said that they'd seen her or spoke to her was about 11:30 at night. So so she'd been out all day and she still didn't want to go home. So that tells me that home was not a place she wanted to be. Anyway, and as we go on, we'll see that home wasn't a place she wanted to be. So around 6:45, so bearing in mind they've been out all day, they walked up to Church Street where their mother was handing out leaflets for an Indian restaurant. So this is their mother, who is now part of the English Defence League and has made a big thing about foreigners and this, that and the other. So she was handing out leaflets for an Indian restaurant and they went to say hello to her. They all chatted before Charlene's sister decided to go home. Then Charlene called some friends in the phone box on Leopold Grove and met up with them before saying goodbye to her mother. So she especially didn't want to go home because her mother wasn't at home either. So she just didn't want to go. And even her sister had a boyfriend, her sister was a little bit older than Charlene, a couple of years older than Charlene. But she had an older boyfriend and she used to prefer to spend time with him rather than be at home. These girls didn't want to be at home, and you'll see the reasons later. So Charlene, she called some friends and met up with them before saying goodbye to her mother. And the girls all went off together. Charlene stayed with them for a short while before leaving in the direction of Count Street. It's not known what Charlene did for the next hour or so, but she did meet up with another friend. So they've seen the CC footage of Charlene with her sister at 3:25, going towards the arcade. She did return home briefly, but then she went back out into Blackpool town centre, and that's where she disappeared from. About 9:30, she went to the Carousel Bar on the North Pier with her friend. They didn't stay long and they headed back to the town centre before parting company around 11 o'clock. So that's the last time she was seen, at 11. So bear in mind, she'd been out of her house all day. So they've made a proof of death report, which means that they've given the reasons why they think she's dead. But, despite media appeals, there's been no trace of her since her disappearance. So what they're saying is 2 men faced trial in May 2007, but the jury failed to reach a verdict. What they're omitting to say here is the jury failed to reach a verdict because the police had made so many mistakes in their surveillance of these men. Now, these 2 men, 2 Muslim men who supposedly had conversations. Their phones were tapped, so they were recorded having conversations discussing how they murdered Charlene, chopped her up, ground down, chopped her, put her in the kebabs, ground down her bones for grouting, for time. It's revolting. But apparently the recordings were not brilliant. They were difficult to make out what they were saying. Basically, I think the police, the whole surveillance operation. Now, maybe that these two men are guilty. May well be that they are guilty. I don't know if they're guilty or not. But unfortunately, the jury failed to reach a verdict. So there must have been a reason why the jury, they weren't happy. Anyway, they did order a retrial, but prior to the start of the retrial, the prosecution identified a series of issues, and in the end, the prosecution service offered no evidence, and it didn't go to trial. But worse than that, those two men, who may well be the murderers of Charlene, they all received massive payouts because of being falsely accused. So you can imagine how that would feel to the family, if the family have got nothing to hide, which we're going to look at. There are some strange things about the family, but this case is like, at the end of the day, Charlene was let down by everyone, in my opinion, by her family, by everyone, because she was not protected. She felt, she was so unhappy, if you like, that she didn't even want to go home. She was out all day till 11 o'clock at night rather than go home. Why didn't she want to be at home at 14 years old? Anyway, so the police have now offered a £100,000 reward for any information leading to the conviction of her killers or the recovery of her body. So, yeah, hopefully, let's see if anything comes of it. This actual... then there was another man arrested on suspicion of Charlene's murder in August 2017, but this person is no longer under investigation. I don't know who that is. So, it's just one of those. It's one of them. It's like there's all these little rabbit holes, going off, and nobody still really knows what happened. Okay. Now, the two men that were that went on trial, the two men were one of them was a 29-year-old man from Jordan called Iyad Albattikhi, and he's really weird name, the Funny Boyz fast food outlet in Blackpool. And the other person that was arrested with him or tried with him was Mohammed Reveshi, his business partner, and he was accused of disposing of her body. And the prosecution alleged that the men had discussed disposing of her body by putting it in kebabs sold from the fast food outlet. But as I say, the jury didn't reach a verdict, failed to reach a verdict, and the retrial that was scheduled never took place. So basically, now some people complained that the reason that this hadn't been investigated properly was because the police were scared of being accused of being racist. And it's possible, we just don't know, do we? But basically it remains that nobody has been found accountable for Charlene's death. So that's, if you like, the case of, was it these two guys from the fast food outlets? I don't know if it was them or not. It does seem to be the things that they were saying, but of course the recordings were bad, and they do seem like weird things that they were saying. But why could that? It must have been really bad for the jury not to reach a verdict. I mean, if the jury had listened to those tapes, which the mother and father who were in court at the time say were conclusive, and you know, it was clear and it was awful to listen to what had happened to her. If they were so conclusive, why did the jury fail to reach a verdict? So there must be a reason why they did. Anyway, right, what else have I got to show you? So I want to show you this I'm going to come back and just see if I've missed anyone. I hope I haven't missed any. I can't go right back through all that chat because there's so much, but don't forget to like. But anyway, I'm going to show you this little short presentation from Channel 4.
She was groomed for sex, picked up and abused by countless men around Blackpool's seafront before being murdered. But no one's ever been convicted for what happened to 14-year-old Charlene Downes, and her body has never been found. 10 years on, Lancashire police have announced they've relaunched their investigation into her death and are linking it to the disappearance of another teenage girl. Our Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel has this.
The murder of 14-year-old Charlene Downes back in 2003 exposed the dark, seedy side of this northern seaside resort, where grooming was part of life many years before it hit the headlines. 10 years ago to this day, the troubled teenager was last spotted in a bar on the North Pier with a vodka and coke, before disappearing into a maze of arcades and kebab shops, never to be seen again.
It's something like say which I wouldn't like to say wish on anybody. I mean, when you lose one of your own babies, right? It's devastating enough. But 10 years on, right? It's still like as if it was like yesterday.
As the years went by, her case became a cause célèbre for the far right.
Justice!
They blamed Muslim paedophile gangs. BNP leader Nick Griffin even doorstepped prosecutors demanding justice.
We're demanding a public inquiry into the failure of the establishment to protect young girls from grooming gangs.
But the list of potential suspects stretched right across the social spectrum and included some who'd associated with Charlene's family. 2 trials failed to deliver convictions. Lancashire police were heavily criticised for flawed investigations which delivered incoherent covert recordings. Now the inquiry is to be reopened and linked to the 2007 disappearance of 15-year-old Paige Chivers, another victim of grooming on the seafront.
They were both victims of child sexual exploitation in the same area of Lancashire. So that is the link. Their paths to their, tragic fate were exactly the same. And in that respect, the profiles of these 2 murders are very, very similar.
Exploitation under the bright lights among the fruit machines and doner kebabs went on for years. Charlene and Paige were not the only ones. Police believe there could have been up to 60 victims and are hoping this post-Savile world will give them a voice.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's important to remember as well, this was not that long after Jimmy Savile. No, M. Ward. So the thing is, what we need to know now is who they were talking about, their Paige. Her murderer was found, and in fact, her murderer has died not long ago. I'm going to show you what happened. Paige's murderer was found. He wasn't a Muslim. Oh, hang on, let me just find him. Yeah, Paige Chivers. Blackpool girl's murderer dies in prison. So, the guy who murdered Paige, a devious paedophile convicted of murdering Blackpool teenager Paige Chivers, has died in prison. So Paige was 15. Now, at the time, they thought these cases might be linked. But, they might be linked. But it might be that this guy murdered Charlene as well, mightn't it? I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. So Paige was reported missing in 2007, and despite her body never having been found, she was officially declared dead following an inquest in 2016. And this guy, Robert Ewing, whoever he is, was jailed. Was jailed for life in 2015, following a trial at Preston Crown Court. So somebody completely different. Robert Ewing, not a Muslim, was jailed for life in 2015. And then a spokesman for the prison service said the 68-year-old had been found dead in his cell on the 4th of November. Oh my dogs are going to start fighting. And that was in 2022. So he died in 2022. He was found dead. That's Riley. That's Riley. Him and Rocky are fighting. Come here. God. So yeah, he was found dead in his cell on the 4th of November. Well, that normally means either they've done something to themselves, or maybe somebody's done something to them, and you don't get to hear all the ins and outs of what happens in prison. And I'm not sorry for him. I mean, I hope he's met his maker now, and he'll be facing whatever he's got to face there. He'll be facing true justice in the other world, in the next world. But Ewing's trial heard how he exploited the vulnerable teenager for his sexual gratification. Then he killed her when she threatened to go to the authorities. So the sentencing judge, Mr. Justice Jeremy Baker, said intelligent and devious Ewing had carried out a carefully planned and executed murder. So there you go. So as it turned out, I mean, that were in that news thing that we watched just before this, they were linking the two cases of Charlene and Paige. So it could be that this same guy, this Ewing guy, maybe he murdered Paige. Charlene as well. But anyway, poor girl. Oh, bless. So there you go. But her case was solved. He went to prison, so the family had some sort of comfort's not the right word, but some sort of closure. At least they saw somebody punished for the murder of their daughter. Whereas, of course, with Charlene, nobody has been found accountable. Now, something I want to tell you about the family now. So the thing is, Charlene's mother and father, they've been very vocal. They've spoken many times on interviews. They then got involved with the English Defence League, the EDL. We're going to watch a bit about that now. Fighting, I understand if they think that these two Muslim guys, are the ones that are responsible for murdering their daughter. And they were there at the trial, listening to the tapes, etc. I can see why they sort of turned to the English Defence League. And anyway, let's just have a little look at this video, and you'll let me know what you think. £250,000 compensation. So notice the mention Paige Chivers there. Didn't see them on TV talking about the murder of Paige Chivers when the English guy was prosecuted for murdering her. You didn't see him on the TV then saying, "Oh, we're sorry for, saying it was the Muslims." I just think bad people are bad people, whatever religion they are, whatever race they are. There's bad in all. I do agree with them in that the police have been incompetent. So unfortunately, and because the police were incompetent, it whipped up all this sort of racial tension, and it's awful, Okay, I'm going to fast forward a bit to the parents when the parents are speaking. So this is Charlene's parents. Okay, sorry, I believe you can't hear or see the video. Oh, did I not put it on? Hang on. Oh, sorry. Sorry, let's try again.
It's about a young girl called Charlene Downes that went missing 8 years ago. Her body's never turned up. The police did arrest people for the actual disappearance of the young girl, but then the case was dropped against them, and these people were awarded £250,000 of compensation each. Now, there's something going on in a lot of the towns in the northwest at the moment. And one chief inspector said it's a tidal wave of child abuse, and it seems to be prolific amongst the Islamic community. There's a local takeaway where Charlene Downes used to hang out, and these were the people that were put under suspicion on her disappearance. The police did have evidence where they'd recorded the under surveillance. The owners of the shop are saying that they'd actually chopped the young girl up and minced her and fed her to the
tourists.
Yeah, to the tourists.
But it's also got Paige Chivers as well. That's also been listed as missing girl as well. A week after Charlene Downes was listed missing as well, and she's also still kept out the quiet.
Right, so that's where he mentioned Paige Chivers. Let's go back to the parents talking.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story and what actually happened? If it's not so uncomfortable for you.
Charlene disappeared at the age of 14, and 3 years later, two men were charged. One was charged with her murder in 2006, and the other with disposing of her body, which was devastating. And a year later, there was a court case. We went through 3 months of hell in court. At the end of the court case...
Sorry, I'm smiling inappropriately. I'm smiling because of me forgetting to put the video on. But you know what I'm like. It wouldn't be the same, would it, if I did everything right during the video?
Jury failed to reach a verdict, and we had some absolutely horrific things during that trial. Things I'd rather not relive, but if I have to, I have to. They couldn't reach a verdict, and the case... there was a retrial was ordered for the following year. Sadly, that trial never took place. It was due to, as the police put it, evidential difficulties, and one of the witnesses, the case sadly collapsed. So we had no justice or any closure, no body, nothing.
Do you want to add anything to that?
No. It's all what she said is true. But there was horrific things on there where they said that they laughed and joked to how they cut the body up still alive. So they cut her up still alive, and she made a mess. When we went through so we heard all that, and I'm stunned at the shock to that, literally, to how literally they failed to reach a verdict.
Everything was there on tape. We heard everything what they'd done, how they'd chopped her up, how they'd mutilated her, how they'd put her in kebabs, how they'd dismembered her.
Charlene loved life, her family and her friends. Her infectious smile lit up the room. And how proud she would have been of you all today, and I know she will be looking down on us all from above with pride.
So what support have you had since all this has happened?
The police have been absolutely useless. They've done nothing. They've done nothing to help us. The only support we have now is the English Defence League, who came to our aid about a year ago when they held the first protest for Charlene. And they've been absolutely wonderful ever since. And they're like the police force to Charlene now. They do everything in their power to get justice, put pressure on the police to try and get these two back, try and get the offenders back in court, and the justice for Charlene.
Is there anything else? I know we had a protest on just gone. How did that go? Did you have many people attending?
The one on Saturday.
And it has been today as well. You know, we've come to honour the memory of this young girl who was only 14 years of age. She's gone missing. Her body's never been found. She's allegedly been murdered and put into a kebab. Now, why do people know that? Well, these people who were the alleged murderers were bragging about it to their friends.
And the police heard about it, so the police put microphones in their cars and in their homes and tape recorded what they were saying. Now, I've got extracts. This is on the Daily Telegraph, Mail Online, lots of things from 2007. This is just some extracts of their conversation. First of all, the police had more than 52 tape recordings of the captured surveillance of Mr. Reveshi's home and his car between February and March 2004. Charlene disappeared in November 2003. The jury was told, because they were actually brought to court, these people, the jury was told that in one conversation, Mr. Reveshi said to his partner, Mr. Albattikhi, that is, well, hopefully I done it properly, you know. He thought he saw me cutting her body up. Do you remember when she was bleeding to death? Yes, replied Mr. Albattikhi, so that she made a mess, Mr. Reveshi allegedly added. Later in the transcript, Mr. Reveshi allegedly says, the last one of them, presumably stab wounds, it was the last deep one, and then it was to the heart that finally killed her. At one point, Mr. Reveshi said, I'm so worried, and you...
Thank you, Renee, for the super sticker. Thank you.
...was the one who killed her. Apologies for the grammar, but this is the way it reads. In his opening address to the jury, Tim Holdroyd for the prosecution claimed that a witness had heard Jordanian-born Mr. Albattikhi joke with fellow takeaway employees about how the teenager had been chopped up and how her body had gone into the kebabs. Mr. Albattikhi of Blackpool denies murdering Charlene, with Mr. Reveshi, also of Blackpool, who denies disposing of her body. As Adam said, these people got off with it because the CPS, remarkably, with all this evidence, they cocked up. They made a mistake. So these two got away on a technicality. And as Adam said, collectively, they got around about £500,000. So first of all, they murder this girl. They cut her up. They make a kebab out of it. They make money on her dead body. They go to court, costing us millions. Then they get money again. And now today, as Adam said, they've got the protection of the police force. And that same police force, I won't say what I think they are, they've described these flowers, this photograph, and that wreath as rubbish. And they will do away with it as they do with all rubbish. So, you know, over to you, Adam.
Thanks for that, Mike. Yeah, we're going to have a...
I don't know you can do this one on paper. That was the last one of her as well. It's a shame. Seeing Darren Day, she was smiling all over her face. I'm sorry it's on paper. I've had to know when the police got the other job to be done on paper. My smiling girl who lit up her infectious smile, lit up the room. She had a beautiful smile. I don't think anybody could do that. Anybody could have hurt her.
Okay, so we're all angry now, aren't we, about the men that supposedly have killed her and put her in a kebab, you know. But don't forget, this has not been proven. And the thing is, what we need to know as well, what you need to know now, I know a lot of you are sympathising with the parents, but there's more to this story than it seems apparent in the beginning. So it turns out that living in her house was a convicted paedophile. A friend of her father was actually living in her house when she went missing. So let me read you about that because, you know, this is why this case is so sad. Because it's so sad, obviously, about whatever happened to her. If it was those two Muslim guys, obviously that's terrible. But she did it. Her home life was not good either, you know. So let's have a look at that. Just find the article. Okay. Got an article about it somewhere. I've just got to find it. I've got that many articles. it's there, isn't it? That's about a sister. Sorry, hang on. There it is. Right, okay. Let me make sure that I actually share it with you this time. Yeah, so it turns out it's not exactly how it seems as far as her family is concerned. So, Charlene Downes' parents were hosting a convicted paedophile the day that the 14-year-old disappeared. And her mother actually waited 2 days before she called the police to report her missing. So there's a little bit, you know, as obviously I sympathise with her parents, but, you know, when you look into it a little bit more, there's more to it. So there was a 3-part documentary that was filmed about it, and it looked into the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of 14-year-old Charlene Downes, who it is believed fell victim to a child sex trafficking ring, which she may well have done. Now, I'm not saying that those 2 guys are innocent. What I'm saying is, why was that girl cut out all day till 11 o'clock at night from, you know, from lunchtime, that she didn't want to go home? Why did she not want to go home? Anyway, the documentary that was on, and there's lots of YouTube videos as well about showing this side of this story as well. But the episode that they're talking about here reveals how men were spending time at the family home at the invitation of Charlene's father, Bob Downes, who met them in the local pub, including a convicted sex offender called Ray Munro. And there are and I don't know if this is true, I'm just telling you what the different theories are. There are some people that say that Charlene's father was running a paedophile ring out of his house. Ray Munro, who was staying, that one thing that is true, this Ray Munro, who had pleaded guilty to 4 counts of sexual abuse of 10-year-old children, and he was staying with the Downes family the day that Charlene disappeared. And Charlene herself had reported some of her father's acquaintances to social services for sexually inappropriate behaviour. Meanwhile, it's revealed that her mother, Karen, did not call the police until 2 days after her teenage daughter disappeared. So there they are, the mother and father. You know, I don't know what happened, but I just want to know why this poor girl didn't feel that she could be at home on a Saturday on a freezing cold day in November. So, according to several sources, a number of men had been going in and out of the Downes' family home at the time of Charlene's disappearance. And the men came to the house on the invitation of Robert Downes, who would befriend them in the pub. But the father of Charlene denies any wrongdoing. And, you know, he's not been prosecuted for anything. Anyway, journalist Julie Bindell, I heard this story too many times from people who seem to care what happened to Charlene. There was a lot of violence going on in the household, not just from outsiders that Bob brought in from the pub. One of the men Robert brought into the family home was a convicted sex offender called Ray Munro. I saw Charlene sitting on Munro's lap once, said a friend of Bob Downes, named Glenn. I just didn't think it was right for a young girl like that sitting on his lap. I thought that's not right because she's just a 14-year-old kid. I just had a word with him. When prompted to say how Munro reacted, Glenn says he knows that I would have killed him on the spot. But during the documentary, Robert and Karen both deny knowing that Munro was a sex offender at the time he stayed at their house. This is Charlene when she was a baby, bless her. This is the guy that reportedly saw Charlene sitting on Munro's knee. Right, let's see what the family have got to say about it.
And 3 days after she disappeared, Bob Downes went to the sentencing of Munro. He was given 4.5 years in prison for the sexual abuse.
But I didn't know, like I said, that like, he didn't confess to me, like I said, touching the girls, until I found that out in court.
I was horrified about Ray Munro when I found out. You know, I mean, I didn't know at the time, though, else I would have never have had them in the house. I've never had them over my doorstep. Thinking back, hindsight's a funny thing. It is a strange thing. If I'd have known then, or I know now, they'd have never been in the house.
Okay, so there you go. Oh, hang on, sorry. Yes. So it's not as clear cut as we think, is it? You know, the parents, you know, the reason that if Charlene was hanging around the kebab shops, etc., the reason was because she didn't want to go home, so there's paedophiles living in her home. And maybe even her own father. We just don't know, do we? So I think, you know, I do think there is more to this story. You know, there's, and obviously, I mean, I don't know who actually murdered Charlene. Maybe it was those two guys, but she wouldn't have been there hanging around kebab shops if she felt like she had a safe home to go to. Right, okay, let me see. What haven't I showed you yet that I need to show you? I think I've got some footage of a sister speaking out. Sister. Let's see. Have I? Maybe not. Yeah. So I thought I had a video, but I don't think I've got video of a sister. But a sister is consumed. Oh yeah, here it is. Hang on, I'll put it on for you. A sister is consumed with guilt because she didn't make her go home with her that night or that evening.
I'm Rebecca Jane Downes, 31, and I'm Charlene Downes' middle sister, second oldest. It was on a Saturday. It was the weekend. Obviously, we didn't have school or anything, so yeah, we just did what normal teenagers would do. We were very happy. Yeah, both of us were happy. She was my best friend. I had to be in, and I begged her to come with me. She was adamant that she was going with her friends. I got a bit angry because I wanted her obviously to come home. She didn't. She was very cheeky, very cheeky. A bit like myself actually. I miss her. I really do miss her. I do feel guilty. I blame myself. I should have got up. I should have brought her home. I really do. But I know it's not my fault. We've not done anything. When I say we've, us as a family, we've not done anything. No, we haven't. We just want justice. She deserves that much.
Okay, so very sad. I may well have missed people coming in. Sorry about that. So, something. Okay, so but the important thing is the case has been reopened just about a month ago. So let's hope something comes out. So let's hope you know, some resolution is given one way or another. Oh, the other thing that maybe you don't know is that in, let me just find exactly when it happened. Oh, first of all, I just want to tell you about the crime rates in Blackpool. So what's interesting about Blackpool is that it has got the 3rd highest crime rate in the UK, and it is the 4th highest for murder. So, you know, it's, you know, you need to think twice about going to live in Blackpool if you're thinking about it. And violent crime makes up 33% of the crimes in Blackpool. So whether that's because it's a holiday place, I just don't know. Maybe people come and go there. Maybe it's just one of those places. But it is a high crime area. Now, let's see if I can find that. Yeah, because I don't know, I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew it. I know a lot of you know a little bit about the case. But in April 2008, the week after the attempt at the retrial failed, Karen Downes stabbed her husband during an argument. There were only minor wounds, and he refused to press charges, and he said that she was just angry with worry and frustration. And then another couple of things that happened. In March 2009, Charlene's sister, Emma, who we've just seen speaking, pleaded not guilty to racially aggravated assault against the brother of the man who'd been charged with murdering her. And she maintained that the assault was not racially motivated. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really racially motivated. It was motivated by the fact that she thinks that his brother killed her sister. Anyway, she only got community service. And then in 2012, Charlene's younger brother admitted in court to punching the man who had faced the charge of disposing of the body. And he was given a fine and a suspended sentence. So imagine, not only so nobody's been held accountable, and not only that, they're all living in that, living roundabouts. The family is seeing these men who have walked away with all that money from being falsely charged, who probably were really guilty, so I just can't imagine what that'd be like. I'll tell you, there was something that happened here in Spain. A guy who violated a young girl when he didn't get much of a sentence, and when he came out of prison, he walked into a cafeteria because he lived in a little village. He walked into a bar, like a cafeteria, to have a coffee or whatever, and the mother of the girl who had been violated walked into the bar behind him, poured petrol over him and set him on fire. And, I don't blame her. I mean, so she knew this guy had violated her daughter. She knew he'd been released from prison, hardly served any sort of sentence. He's walking around her village. It's about a tiny village, probably similar to the village I live in. Everybody knows everybody. And she's going to think that her daughter's going to have to face him. She's got to face him. Anyway, she walked in, poured petrol over him, set him alight, and killed him. And I'm laughing. That's a nervous laugh. I don't agree with those sort of, I don't agree with those kind of things. But anyway, and in case you're wondering, so the mother, she did get a prison sentence, but not much. That's right. I think there's more too. I don't think it's just Asian paedophiles. I think there's a lot of paedophiles in that area. And I do think there's something going on at Charlene's home. You saw that video, that father, he went to the trial. He had a convicted paedophile living in his house, and he went to his trial and he gave him a hug. And, that's not right, is it? So... Okay, something else I wanted to mention, because David, he's still here. Oh, bless. Those of you who are still here who've come through it all with me, let me know that about the... Let's see, I did look it up. Let me just see if it's here on Sky News. It wasn't on Sky News earlier, but oh. Yeah, the young Indian girl, Pakistani girl that was found murdered. Well, I say murdered. You know, her father, her uncle, I don't know if that's a mother or a stepmother. Oh, no, it's a stepmother. They all fled to Pakistan. Well, apparently 2 people have been arrested in Pakistan. Now, the uncle did say that she'd fallen down the stairs and broken her neck. So, we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to look, just to let you know, that's the news that came out. But I can't find it on Sky News. Let's see if it's on BBC News. Gosh, I can feel my voice is going now. No, I can't see it. Anyway, so tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to do a catch-up of the news. There's still been no arrest in, as far as I know, unless I've missed it. There's still not been any arrest in the Rachel Marin case, which is incredible, really. You know, because they had that good video of the guy and they've got the DNA match. They've got the video of the guy doing the coming out of the home invasion in Los Angeles. But they haven't arrested anybody yet. And the police were warning that this guy might... it was on the 6 o'clock news, but it doesn't seem to be on the... you know, it's not on the website, the Sky News website or the BBC website. Chumba's talking about thongs. That's when I know it's time to go. Okay, so that is the very sad story of Charlene Downes, but there's, you know, it's not over yet, is it? We need to know. Oh, here's Riley. Look, come on. Hello. Oh, hello. Come here. Come here. Oh, right. Never mind. Oh, they're arguing now about who can get on the camera. They're fighting over it. Move. What are you doing? Come up then. Oh, no, they're fighting over a sock. Come here, give me your sock. Give me your sock. Riley, give me this sock. Oh, come here. No, Riley's got a sock in his mouth and they're fighting over it. Oh, don't worry, Desi. Okay, so the dogs are fighting over a sock. It's time to go, but let's just pray that some answers come out. It's probably likely that those 2 men did kill Charlene, but I don't know that. But it seems likely. But the thing is that there's this sort of everybody let Charlene down, because Charlene should not have been out at 11 o'clock at 14 years old in Blackpool in November. You know, she shouldn't have been. She should have been at home. She should have felt safe being at home. You know, so I'm angry with the family as well. I'm sorry, and I feel for them. So, you know, I don't feel that they did anything to her in the sense of, I don't think they're responsible for a murder in that way, but I think in a way they bear a responsibility because they didn't make her home a safe place where she felt that she wanted to be. Hi, Sharon. Yeah, there's a... Oh, have you got a baby there, Renee? Oh, bless. Oh, God, yeah, it's a good job the big dog's not down here. She'd definitely wake up your baby. She's got the most ear-splitting bark. Oh, thank you, David. You know, I'm glad it was good. You know, because I never know how it comes over, obviously, to you until I watch it later. I know I always make a mistake and forget to share the video or whatever, but as I say, or it cuts off or something happens, but that's part of the fun. But yeah, she was 14 years old and she should have not been out at 11. But, you know, I think that personally, I think a lot of these grooming gangs, and I'm not taking away from the badness of what they do, but if those young girls or boys, because it can be girls or boys, why are they out, performing sex acts for kebabs or whatever? Why are they doing that? They're doing that because there's something wrong at home as well. So there's a joint, there's an overall responsibility for these things. But look, I've got brain fog. I haven't even got an excuse for it, Princess. But yeah, you need to watch again because, of course, I know you like to chat. And, I noticed that when you're chatting, when I was doing it in the chat the other day, when you're chatting, it's hard to watch the video sometimes. Okay, right. So remember to always live and love very carefully, very wise. I'll see you tomorrow night in the Friday Night Live. Not sure exactly what I'm doing. I've got a few ideas. Remember to like on your way in, or well, not on your way in now, it'd be on your way out. And yeah, a little bit gruesome. I'll probably get binned off YouTube again. I'm always getting binned off. I get binned off for every video that I do. Night, Saskia. I hope you're feeling okay tonight, and tomorrow will be a better day. Until I see you again, may your God always go with you. Thank you so much. Night, night.